Brock, there's a lot going on involving sports happening out in Arizona. We certainly always like to talk about the Cardinals, get a preview of what's going on there. The Diamondbacks are making some noise, so we thought, who better to have on than a guy that I know you guys have on a good amount here, John Gambadoro, Gambo, our sister station's host, The Drive Time, Burns and Gambo on Arizona Sports. Gambo, how's it going this morning?
Mike, how are you? Brock, my old friend, how are you doing?
We're doing good. And then the Suns, is there speculation the Suns are coming to Seattle to become the Sonics? Is that what I'm hearing as well, or no?
Oh, my God. No, but thank God we're finally done. Thank God we finally got off of Kevin Durant, man. That was a disaster of 2.5 years with Kevin Durant. I'm so happy he's gone.
Yeah, that didn't bring you any championships or anything like that. So what is going on, man? I know
It didn't even bring us a playoff win.
Not even a playoff run. I know. I said
not even a win.
Gambo, I said to Lefko before you hopped on here, kind of teasing you popping on with us. You've been in that market a long time. You're as connected as anybody in a market that I know in all of sports talk radio all across the country. You know these Diamondbacks and Mike Hazen and that crew. You guys are the sister station. You're out there in spring training. What is your gut feeling 10 days before the trade deadline? Do you anticipate them moving from a bunch of rental contracts that come due here after 50 games?
Yeah. Well, no, listen, not only for my show today, but also knowing I was going to be on with you guys, I did speak with the Diamondbacks today, and what I could tell you is that even after the sweep, even after sweeping the St. Louis Cardinals, they are still more sellers than buyers. Now, if they sweep the Astros, things may change. The problem is they're 4.5 games out, Brock, but there's 4 teams ahead of them. They've got to pass 4 teams in order to get into a playoff spot with 60 games left. They're devastated with injuries to starting pitching and bullpen. So as of today, even after the sweep, I wanted to know, you swept the Cardinals. Do you think you're more in it now? I'm still being told that they are more sellers than they are buyers. So they could have a field day because they've got about 4 or 5 really good players that they could move for prospects.
Isn't that a fascinating dynamic? Because we just talked about the quotes that Geno Suarez said after the game yesterday. We want to put pressure on the front office that group is excited about how they're playing, but it's not practical. I get that at times. So the front office has to make a calculated decision. So if something like this happens, like a tear down, if you will, and they start to sell off these guys, how do you think that goes over in the clubhouse? Or, does that something that it doesn't matter, and the front office has to keep those feelings separate from a practical decision?
Yeah, Mike, I think it's hard, right? Because the fan base wants to try and win. This team was in the World Series just a couple of years ago. Last year, they ended up in a 3-way tie for a playoff spot and lost a tiebreaker. So there's been a lot of excitement about Diamondbacks baseball. The owner is committed to spending. He's spent more money on this team the last 2 years than ever has been spent on the team. The deal is that these guys are all expiring contracts, right? They're not going to be trading players that are under contract for the next 3 or 4 years. They're going to be trading guys that have expiring contracts. Geno Suarez, expiring contract. Josh Naylor, expiring contract. Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, expiring contracts. So I think it's a little bit different than trading a guy that's got 4 years left on his deal. They're not trading that type of player. They're trading a guy that they may not even be able to bring back next year anyway. So that's where I think it actually makes a lot of sense.
Expired. You're like that ant in that commercial. Expired. So if you guys taken a look, if you kind of made that decision, you and Bernsey and the rest of the hosts down there in Arizona, I wonder which organization, if we are wanting to trade some of these expiring contracts, are you as excited about the Seattle Mariners as the Seattle Mariners seem to be, especially our fans and our shows, excited about the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, I actually like the Seattle teams, right? I mean, my hatred is the LA teams, and being a New York guy, I always hate the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't mind Seattle at all. I'd love to see the Yankees get Geno. Brock, Geno is on a tear right now. 2 home runs yesterday, 2 home runs Saturday. He's on pace to hit 57 home runs. Now, the thing is, he just turned 34 years old. He's probably going to get a 3-year deal from somebody for $20 to $25 million a year in free agency. So, but you don't worry about that now. What you worry about is he is the number 1 target for a lot of teams. The Yankees want him. The Cubs want him. There's Seattle. So you're going to be able to parlay him into some good prospects. We're not talking about a lottery ticket for a guy on an expiring contract, which sometimes happens. We're talking about getting top 10 players in a team's organization prospect-wise for Geno Suarez, because he's a guy that, that right now makes a difference in a lot of baseball games. I mean, I didn't know. They almost cut the guy twice last year. I'm serious. Like in the early, he was so bad The first 2 months of the season, they had internal discussions about just waiving him outright. But he got hot. He figured it out, and he's played some great baseball.
Gambo, I know all the attention's been around Suarez, but then the Mariners are sitting here, and they could also use a first baseman. They could use some more pieces as well. Any other names around this Diamondbacks team that seem like they are pretty logical guys that you think, okay, I'd be surprised if they actually are still on the team after the trade deadline?
Yeah, I think everybody's going to want starting pitching, Mike, starting pitching. Now, Zach Gallen's got a better pedigree than Merrill Kelly, but Merrill Kelly is phenomenal. I am probably his biggest fan out here. He is such a winner and such a great pitcher that whoever trades for Merrill Kelly, you're getting a guy that you could put into a playoff rotation and he'll be fine. Like, that pedigree is incredible. Gallen's had an up and down year. There's been like 5 or 6 like really great games and 5 or 6 really bad games. So it's been tough to figure out Zach Gallen. He's just, this is a contract year for him. Scott Boras is his agent. He probably thought he was going to cash in. We've had him on the show several times and talked about whether that pressure has affected him. He kind of thinks it hasn't. But starting pitching, right? Everybody's going to want starting pitching. So that's where Gallen and Kelly come in. You're looking for a first baseman? Josh Nell's had a great year. He's had a great year. The Diamondbacks let Christian Walker go, rightfully so. They didn't pay him the 3 years and $60 million. They got Naylor. He's on an expiring deal. He's played great. You've got some guys on the bullpen. You might be able to trade Shelby Miller. Probably more of a lottery ticket for Shelby Miller and Randall Grichuk and guys like that. But the prime guys to trade are the 2 starting pitchers, Gallen and Kelly, your first baseman, Josh Naylor, and obviously Geno Suarez, who it seems like everybody wants Geno right now.
Help me understand who Mike Hazen is, right? Just as a GM, so I can try to understand over the next 9-10 days with Jerry and Justin here in Seattle. It seems like it's a good pairing, but help me understand Mike Hazen, the GM, how he goes about these trades, how you think he's going to handle these decisions over the next 10 days.
I think Mike knows that this team, even with the sweep, is really up against it. Like, it's going to be hard to pass 4 teams. Brock, it's not the amount of games they're behind, right? It's not, okay, you're 4.5 games behind, because I think within 5, you're okay. The problem is you have to pass 4 teams. If there was only 1 team ahead of you, I can make an argument that you could beat out that team. But you've got to beat out 4 teams in order to get into a playoff spot. I think Mike Hazen is a really good GM. I think the type of trade he'd like to make is the trade, like he got Zach Gallen for Jazz Chisholm. So he traded a player that was ready to play in the major leagues for a player that was ready to play in the major leagues, and they've had a great run with Zach Gallen. He had a lot of control. He likes to trade for pitchers with control. Now, it's going to be hard to get AAA pitchers, but I think what he's going to be looking for more than anything is AA starting pitching. So what do you got? Do you have good AA starting pitching? Because that's what they want. They're set at a lot of positions in the field. But with Gallen and Kelly maybe not coming back next year because they're free agents, with Corbin Burns likely out for the season, they need pitchers that are close to ready, and that's what I think he'll go after at the trade deadline.
Well, the Mariners have a handful of those guys, so that's the intrigue there. All right, we'll see.
AA guys that are within a year of being ready, that's going to be what they shoot for, I promise you.
Wow. All right, so I think we'll have to have you back on then when a trade hopefully does happen between these two parties. But, yeah, since you're here, Gambo, and since NFL training camps get underway this week, thought we'd pick your brain a little bit on this Cardinals team, get a sense of what's going on around the NFC West. What are the expectations for Jonathan Gannon in year 3 coaching this team?
You know, they finally went out and spent some money on free agency. Monty Ossenfort, terrific general manager, came in here first 2 years, didn't spend wisely, just plugged some holes. But then they go get Josh Sweat, and they go get Dalvin Tomlinson, and they bring in Calais Campbell. So they went out and really addressed their needs on defense in free agency. Then what was crazy, Mike, is they have this draft, and everybody they drafted was a defensive guy except for one, Walter Nolan and Will Johnson and Jordan Birch, who – from Oregon, and Cody Simon and Denzel Burke. Like, they really went out and got the defense, jacked up because their defense was not very good. The question really is Kyler Murray ready to finally deliver? Like, Kyler's an okay quarterback. He's decent. He's middle of the pack. But you guys know, like, when you've got that middle of the pack quarterback, and I think Geno Smith was middle of the pack, right? Can you win a Super Bowl with Geno Smith? Can you win a Super Bowl with Jay Cutler? Can you win a Super Bowl with Ryan Tannehill? I think Kyler Murray's in that category of being that, he's a middle guy. He's not one of the 10 best quarterbacks, and he's not one of the 10 worst quarterbacks. But I always hate being in the middle because you're really not sure what you have. So I think this is a big year for Kyler Murray.
Hey, last thing from you here, Gambo. Appreciate the time, my friend, especially coming back from vacation. What do those Cardinal fans, what does our sister station think of our beloved Seahawks?
I think we all think that the Rams are the best team and the 49ers are going to take a step back, and then it's really a three-way battle for who's the second best team. Like, I like what Seattle did. I'll never count them out. Every time I count them out, Brock, they win 9 or 10 games, right? I mean, isn't that their pedigree? Like, count Seattle out, they win 9 or 10 games. But I think that we feel like the Rams are the best team in the division, and I really think it's a three-way race for who the second best team is. And I think any one of those teams could take it, the Cardinals, the 49ers, or the Seahawks.
Wow. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Going to be a fascinating race in the division this year. Very good NFC West, like always. And then the trade deadline looming. Great stuff, Gambo. We appreciate the time, and I'm sure these guys will talk to you again soon.